right, welcome back to the Bitfinex live stream. We're broadcasting live from the Plan B Forum in El Salvador. I'm your host, Ricardo Martinez, and today I am happy to be joined by Fabian, who is from Illuminodes and Salud Protocol, and he's doing some really, really interesting stuff in the healthcare field using decentralized technologies like Nostr. So I will let him tell you about it, but why don't you explain what you're doing?
All right. Hello. Good to meet you. Good to be invited.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. We had a little party yesterday, so that was a good opportunity to meet. So
yeah, we were at the VIP Bitfinex cocktail
correct.
party.
Yeah, exactly. I met some good guys there, actually.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
yeah, including yourself.
Right, well, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, Fabian, originally from the Netherlands. I've been in the IT game for maybe since I was 12, I guess.
Whole life.
Basically, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, programming, building computers, stuff like that. And went to university, did some my last programming was when I was in university with Pascal. So after that, there was no more programming.
Okay.
But I've been in the IT game for all this time, either through, you know, working for corporations, etc. Now, along the way, built my own company in the health space, so a health software company, and I've had that for about 10 years. So I know how health works, and I know how health systems work out in the real world, you know, if you want to call it the real world.
Yeah.
And I know how centralized they are, and I know how insecure data is and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, I'm also a Bitcoiner, so I like you know, self-sovereignty, freedom, controlling my own things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And have been for, I don't know, since 2014.
Okay.
So when you start putting those two things together, when you say health software that's not decentralized, but anyone can do whatever they want with it, and you're a Bitcoiner, you start to think, okay, well, we maybe need to do something about this. And that's where this stuff that we're doing here in El Salvador is coming. So we moved here to El Salvador about 2 years ago, with the intention of building stuff. And Illuminodes is one of the projects that we're building. And Illuminodes is like illuminate, you know, with nodes, like, you know, decentralized nodes.
Yeah.
Is a company that is actually there to build only on decentralized protocols, which basically means only Bitcoin and only Nostr. They're both decentralized, they're both protocols, no one controls them, no one does anything with them, and it's all open source. So, all right, cool, that's perfect, that's great. And then we said, okay, what are we gonna do from, you know, this health space? And with Nostr, we can obviously, you know, take control of our digital identities, because our life is, I guess, 50% online. I mean, if it's not more, I mean, we spend just as much really time in the digital realm as we spend in the physical realm. But
yeah, nowadays.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And the physical realm, you know, you have the ability to walk away and say, I don't like you, or go fly a kite or whatever. But you can't in the digital realm, not the way it's set up right now, because you're totally subject to all these other organizations that actually control your digital identity, your digital data, your digital everything. And as the world has probably realized over the last 6 years, including our digital health information and data and identity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any big things, but you know what happened in the world over the last 6 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's caused people to think a little bit more about, okay, what do I own? What do I have? Is it mine? And then we obviously realize it isn't. So with that in mind, we said, okay, let's build what we call the Salud protocol. And Salud stands for Sistema de Administración Libertad Único y Descentralizado, right? So, and it's also the Spanish word for health.
Yeah.
And it's basically a system where people can now own and control their own digital health identities, and therefore the associated digital health data. And we found a crazy organization with a company called Para Vida Hospital here in El Salvador that believed our vision, that believed that what we stood for, and basically said, yeah, we'll go on that ride with you. So we're literally building the Salud protocol in the real world on Nostr. And basically the idea is to give people back control of their health identity and their health data, and they can choose who to share it with, what to share with them. They don't have to share 100 points of information, just 5 if that's all they need. And that's what we're building. And we're having a great time. And I get invited on talks like this and just keep on rambling. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing work that you're doing. I guess like for people that don't really understand the like health industry like you do, like what are the benefits of like decentralizing healthcare information rather than having it like in some centralized database at some insurance company or whatever?
Okay. Simple examples. I remember talking to someone saying, I just did an MRI. This was in the US.
Yeah.
And I've got all this MRI data. I went back to actually get my MRI files, and they literally said, no, you can't have them. It's a bit strange, right?
Yeah.
So that was one thing. So in other words, it's a true, clear
Ownership.
story that we do not own our health data.
Yeah.
Secondly is the data, the health data that's out there right now is actually owned and controlled, well, owned, who knows, right? But controlled by other people, software companies, big database companies, and I'm guessing you've heard of stories where your health data is being sold off
on the
and
dark web,
abused on the dark web and whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So you seriously have zero control. On top of that, of course, is that we don't even know if it's genuine, the data. They can just take that data, manipulate it to whatever they want it to be, show, hey, this is a wonderful statistic. Don't you realize that it's cool? They can do whatever they want. So there's no way of actually verifying if that data is genuine and honest and truthful. But if the person that actually owns that data, that owns that bit of health data, is the one that's the only one that can sign it for saying this is genuine because I control it, right?
Yeah.
Then you can say that's the health data information that's floating around and I'm actually exposing to someone is genuine because it was the actual owner that gave you that data. If someone else manipulates that, you can see it. So in other words, there's no more manipulation of data with this. There's no more taking whatever you want with this data as well. And actually it brings back, in our minds, brings back democracy to data, because it's actually, if you think about the word democracy, it's about the individual controlling, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're actually democratizing data, in this particular case, health data.
Yeah.
And imagine if everyone actually controls their own health data, what's these organizations that actually are now manipulating and abusing this, all of a sudden they have to come back to us to say, hey, can I have your data? Do you actually like what I'm doing with this data?
Yeah.
Because if you don't like it, you say, you're not going to get it. So we're democratizing data at the same time.
Yeah, that's super cool. That
Yeah.
sounds very, very powerful. Like, I guess for people that use Nostr as like a social media network, like I do, this is running on like the Nostr network that everybody's using, or you have like your own fork of the Nostr network that you're using like specifically for health data?
No, there's no forks.
Okay.
Forks is in another realm,
Okay.
the altcoin realm, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess even Bitcoin realm. But no. So Nostr works on a whole bunch of servers all over the place.
Yes.
Relays, yeah. Servers,
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah.
Let's call it that. Could be a phone for all I care, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. It just runs on a whole bunch of, and the data is spread out in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the people with the keys can actually unlock that data that's in there.
Okay.
Of course, you can create your own little network of relays that you only tap into.
Yeah.
That becomes a private network, but it's out there, that data. So yeah. But again, it's the keys. Just like Bitcoin, you control it with the public and private key. That's what you do on the Nostr realm.
Okay, and then like with Nostr, like with your posts, they're public, right?
Yep.
But like your DMs are encrypted. So like all this health data, you're storing it as like a private message or something, like in Nostr?
Yeah.
Or?
So the way that we're building this, and this is, I guess, an interesting part, is the health data, the message that contains the health data. So let's say it's a glucose test result or something.
Yeah.
Right. That data is stored in an encrypted way, right? I, as the owner of the keys, I can unencrypt that. I can have that on my device, or it can be sitting out there in the relays.
Okay.
What we have done is, and what we're building with another group of people, a company called Nostr as well, and
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of people like, can't think of the name. Anyway, the guy from Amethyst, right? Victor Pamplona.
Okay.
So he has an organization that we're working with as well. is we're actually incorporating in these Nostr messages a concept. It's called HL7, FHIR, HL7 FIRE.
Okay.
FIRE stands for Fast Health Interoperability something. But it is a global standard that's been around for almost 30 years now as to how medical data is structured for digital transmission.
Really?
So in other words, blood information is structured in a very specific way. And Europe uses that, Australia uses that, the US uses that. A lot of countries in the world use that standard in their traditional centralized software.
Okay.
But what we're doing is we're actually integrating that into these Nostr messages. So in other words, the health information in the Nostr messages are actually structured according to something
like
that's
the
been
international
used.
standard, yeah.
Exactly. An ISO standard and everything like that. Which means that you can take these messages, in essence, really link them back to the traditional systems, and they just have that information just as easily if you've just built a Nostr-only app.
Yeah, this is so fascinating for me, and like I've always just conceived of Nostr as like, you know, like a social media network that's like decentralized, and to see you guys using the protocol in this way to like really just solve like a problem that really didn't have a solution before this is just super interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously it evolves and you start to understand like what we're really doing, and you know, can you understand? I mean, the whole democratized...
Is anyone else doing this, or
Not
are you
that
guys
I
like
know.
the first?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I guess we sort of focus on, as a company, on real world applications
Yeah.
of these open source protocols, and obviously the Nostr protocol.
With Nostr in particular, like you guys chose that for its like decentralized qualities, but like what other industries could you see like Nostr being applied to where it could like provide a solution in the way that you're doing?
Well, if you think about it, as I said, your digital existence is about 50% of your life.
Yeah.
Whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
But that means that every single bit of information transmission or information ownership can be managed this way.
Yeah.
So it could be, I don't know, documents around, you know, property ownership, or it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, and I said we don't use a blockchain. There's no blockchain involved or anything like that. So yeah, there's basically, I would say it's going to be a layer over time on the internet that controls data through digital identities. I think the future is everything, and I mean, I'm biased as hell, obviously, as you can imagine, right? But I think that everything, the future is going to be through this extra layer of identity management and therefore data management. So that's what I think.
Yeah, no, I talked to John from Synonym yesterday, and they're building like decentralized internet technologies too, based around Bitcoin as well, you know, like Nostr. And he had a lot of interesting things to say, like about where he sees the world moving towards in the future. So
I don't know if you believe it, but I feel that the world has sort of hit this point where, we've sort of had enough of full-on centralization.
Yeah.
And we're sort of veering into this new direction now. There's so many freaking opportunities out there, and it's exciting, you know? I mean, can you imagine the impact of what it would mean if everyone controls their own data?
Yeah.
That people have to come back to us. Can you imagine that people, like companies and stuff like that, would have to compete against each other to ask us if they can use our data?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
Right now, we're subject to them.
Yeah.
But imagine if the world
and
is
they could
subject
just be
to
like
us.
selling it and making money off your own data, and like
They should be paying me.
Yeah.
Right. So,
right? Yeah.
So it basically comes to the highest bidder. I have a drug that I want to build or something like that. I need X sort of, information.
Yeah.
These people I can see with a little tag, okay, they have the information, but I need that specific information, that specific content. They have to ask me.
Yeah.
Us, I guess. Us.
Yeah.
That'll change the whole dynamics of everything.
It's very powerful.
It's same as decentralizing money from a state.
Yeah.
Decentralizing data from some other centralized entity. Yeah.
Well, Fabian, the interview's going to come to an end, but is there any final words you want to say to the audience before we close out?
I guess follow us, of course. We're on Twitter as well.
Okay.
I mean, being, still there.
Yeah.
So you can follow us on Illuminodes,
Okay.
obviously on Nostr as well.
Okay.
Always looking for people that want to work with us and contribute. And yeah, look, reach out to us if you have any questions. And yeah, we'd love to build. Let's build Nostr shit. Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for doing the interview.
No worries.
Cool.